Hey, and stuff. So I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Waiting, but they have like the Weiner showing game in Waiting, where basically you're supposed to make other guys look at your nuts when they're, or girls, I think. Actually, yeah, it's anybody. You make anybody look at your nuts. And oh Jesus, car. And yeah, you make anybody look at your nuts, then you call them gay or whatever. But really, it just turned into, at least in my high school, it turned into you just show your wiener to people and you don't even have to kick them or anything. But all right, so fast forward. This was my first ever instance with a funny story in the wiener showing game. Was that, so it's me, my brother, and a decent amount of our friends. We're all hanging out and we're like pretending to do the wiener showing game, but we're not actually doing it. We're just sitting there. And there's this one called the goat, where the goat is where you tuck your balls and wieners back, and like balls and wieners, like plural. But you tuck your whole package below to the Grinch, how the Grunch stole your butt, miss. But you stick it down in there, and what you're supposed to do is bend over, and then the balls and the wiener, it's supposed to look like a goat, basically, like the horns and like a gross goat. And Nicky, like, he's not even trying to hide it. He's just like, I'm gonna goat you guys. And we're like, Nick, it's not how the game works, because it's supposed to be unsuspecting. Like, you're not supposed to just do this and then show us. Like, we're not gonna look. Like, why would we look at that? And I swear, he's like in his pants, like I don't know if you saw Zoolander, like when he tries to pull his whitey tighties out of his pants. A lot of movie references in this one. But so he's like in his pants, like fiddling around and stuff, and then all of a sudden, like his legs like lock out, and he's just like, Mike, go get mom. And I'm like, what? I was like, we're not goading mom. And he's like, no, get mom, go get mom. Somehow his knee like hyperextension locked while his wiener and balls were tucked behind his legs, or in between his legs, and he was like, get mom, because he didn't know what to do and he was super afraid. And we, like, everyone couldn't handle it. We didn't know what to do, because like you're like, you had to feel kind of crazy about it. Like, in our defense, he was trying to show us his wiener, so like we're not gonna be on his side. But I run inside because I think he's about to die somehow, and I go to get my mom. I bring my mom outside. I'm like, Nick's hurt. And as soon, something must have happened. Something went back in place. His testicle descended back into his pack, or whatever you want to call it. I almost said sack, but then I was like, that'd be gross. But then I just said it anyway. But it was hilarious. We still to this day don't really know what happened to him. But I had to call my mom. I had to run and get my mom to help my brother with his nut situation. So another one, I have a friend Mike, and he actually has a brother Nick too, which is crazy, right? Life's insane. But I used to basically live for like one summer over, like when we were doing like the 2 days and stuff. I used to live at Mike's house. Mike was dope. His whole family was dope. It was basically, I just stayed there all the time, even when everybody was working. I was just there, but it was awesome. So a lot of stuff happened there. It was a really fun house to hang out at. And one day I'm doing the brain, in which the brain is the one where you don't show them your wiener at all, but you like put your hand around your nuts, and it's like that's your nuts, but it's called the brain because it's all veiny and it looks like a brain and stuff. So I come around. Mike's brother Nick is on the couch, just like laying there, watching TV or playing video games, one or the other. Not that it's relevant to the story, but I know you guys were wondering. And I come with my nuts, and Nick didn't have his glasses on. And I'm waiting for him to be like, oh, gross. And then I was going to call him fag or whatever you do with you. And freaking, he starts squinting at my nuts. And I'm like, what is going on? And he's like squinting at him. He's just like, is that a nectarine? And I was just to this day, like, that was the best. He just thought my nuts were a nectarine, and he blurry stared at him for a long time. Nick was hilarious too, though. I remember once they got a big package from Amazon, and what are you looking at? We're both going straight. I go straight, you go straight. And freaking, they got a big package from Amazon, and it said fragile, and he went to his dad, and he was like, hey, Dad, what's fragile mean? And his dad just lost it. he was just like, God damn it, Nick, it's a frat. Like, he couldn't comprehend what was just said. All right, so here's another one. I remember my friend Connor. Connor would do almost anything anyone said. He was insane. He deserves a lot more credit for the things that he did than we gave him back in the day. But so he would play the Weiner showing game, and he would just brain everyone. And he would always, every time he brained you or like showed you his nuts or whatever, he would be like, brain, and like everyone would know it happened to you, and it was funny. And we would do it in the locker room. I think this was like lacrosse season was when it was huge. So I know I was a junior, Connor was a sophomore, and we had like a full grade of seniors above us. And there was this one kid on the team that fucking hated it. And so that like made him the target of getting brained because he hated it so much. So Connor would do it to him all the time. And so one day Connor brains him, and he just brained him too much. Like the guy he was over it. He starts trying to fight Connor. And like Connor still has his like nuts out. Like it was ridiculous. But he's like trying to fight Connor. He's a senior fighting a sophomore. And Connor brained him in front of everybody in the locker room, and he's like, brain. And even though everybody else looked at Connor's nuts, it was just hilarious that guy looked at his nuts. Guys are hilarious, and we love it. So he's basically trying to fight Connor. Everyone's like breaking up the fight, and we're like, dude, stop. As they like pull them both apart, Connor sneaks his nuts back out, and fucking everyone like starts figuring it out. Like they don't start figuring that out, but like they like figure the fight out. They're like, all right, it's done. And fucking the guy that's trying to fight him turns around, and Connor's just like, brain, and brains him again after the initial fight. And then all shit just went down, because like technically you're allowed to fight him at that point. Like, oh my god. And I know that the kid was just so defeated because it was just insane. This kid just keeps showing him your nuts, and it's just but yeah, I mean that was a great time. I think that's all the ones that I have right now that I could think of on the top of my head. But yeah, boys will be boys. We do the weird stuff. Cool. All right, guys, have a good night and all the things.